Welcome back. It's another episode of Butt Crack Cycles. My name's Paul. This is my YouTube channel where we do old school Harley Davidsons like this blue bike sitting right next to me. This is my 1983 Ironhead Sportster, and today we got to do a little bit of clutch work to it. The last time I rode this motorcycle, the clutch was slipping on me at high throttle. So we're gonna drain the primary oil and adjust the clutch, and then go take it for a test ride and see if that fixes it. I bet it will. Hopefully there's nothing else going on. So stick around, and yeah, thanks for watching. So I've got the oil draining into my fruit bucket there, and here's the drain plug. It's got a little bit of metal fuzz on it there, but nothing too terrible. Wipe that off and let it keep draining. Go ahead and take our inspection plug loose here so we can get moving on with adjusting the clutch. So with the inspection plug removed, you can see the lock nut and the screw, and that's where your clutch adjustment is actually made. It's not made in the lever. There are some things you have to do with the actual cable and the clutch lever, and we will do that. I'll show y'all how to do this, but the clutch adjuster itself is actually inside of your primary cover, and that is what pushes on and sets the preload and tension and everything on your clutch plates. So just to give a visual representation of how this system works, this is an Evo Sportster that I have the primary cover off of, but it's the same idea. Your clutch basket is in here, so your friction discs and your steels, plates, whatever you want to call them, are stacked up inside of here, and Ironhead kind of is the same way. So this sits over there. You've got your adjuster with the nut and the screw, just like over there on the Ironhead. This guy right here is when you're pulling the lever up on your handlebar control. Here's your cable that'll go in there like that. That pulls on this, and that's actually what's clamping and then releasing your clutch. So you're making your adjustment down here. I just thought I would show that. Maybe sometimes it helps people visualize what they're working on if they know what underneath it looks like, instead of just like, oh, I'm just working through this tiny hole. Maybe it helped, maybe it was a waste of 45 seconds, I don't know. So the first thing we're gonna do is down here at your primary cover, we're gonna loosen this lock nut, and then take another wrench and turn the cable adjuster in. You wanna go in to the primary cover until basically you have like a ton of slack in your clutch lever up on your handlebars. So as you can see, we got a ton of free play in our clutch lever, so that's what you want. So next up, we're gonna take a 13/16 socket and loosen the lock nut inside of the primary cover, and then we're gonna take the adjusting screw and I turn it in until it starts. Actually, you can feel it touching the pressure plate. It'll get harder to turn. And we're going to go about 2 turns in. So it's half of a turn, 1 turn, 1.5, 2. Next up, we're going to move back to our adjuster on the cable, and kind of like before, probably helps if you hold the lock nut, and then we're just going to start backing out the cable just a little bit at a time. And as we're doing this, I'm going to stop with the wrenches, and you can hear me off camera, and what I'm doing is I'm checking for free play or slack up at the clutch lever, and we basically just want to get to like a neutral lever position, meaning it doesn't have a ton of slack in it, but also that this isn't pulling on it. Alright, so I have locked down the lock nut for the cable adjustment in the front of the primary cover. We don't need to touch that anymore. We took the slack out of it, and also it has no load on it, just a good neutral lever. I'm pausing the video right here, and the reason is because I screwed up. Everything that you've seen up until this point in the video is correct. Follow what I said, do what I said. You won't go wrong. But I actually messed up the very next part of this where you actually turn the adjusting screw. I was doing this yesterday just kind of off the top of my head, and I realized I turned the screw the wrong way. I was cooking dinner last night and got thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I think I messed that up. So I did what I always preach, which is RTFM. Get a factory shop manual and read it. Use it. Follow it. Obey. Alright, off my soapbox, back to the instruction portion of this. Okay, so the cable adjustment is done, and now we need to come back in here to the adjuster screw. And we're going to back the screw off until it gets easy to turn, and then turn it back in till it just touches. And now we're going to back it off from that point between 1/8 and 1/4 of a turn. So right about there for me. And now you want to take your lock nut and tighten the lock nut down without allowing your adjuster screw to move. So I'm going to show you all a little tip. Take your 13/16 spark plug socket that has a hex made onto it. Take your screwdriver and do this. Now put your blade of the screwdriver into the adjusting screw, slide the spark plug socket, let the rooster finish crowing, slide the spark plug socket up into there, and you can tighten your lock nut by taking a wrench and putting it on the hex of the spark plug socket and hold your screw with the screwdriver. There you go. So now it's tight, and that hasn't moved. Then we are going to screw our plug back in, snug that up, and come up here. We'll take this plug out and fill it up with some oil. Okay, so the oil is back in the bike, and I didn't film putting oil in it. You should be able to figure that out. Take the top plug out, put oil in it. My bike holds about 28 ounces of fluid. Most Ironheads are somewhere in that like 25 to 30 range. Do your own research as far as what oil you want to pick. I don't even want to get into that. People get fanatical about oil for some reason. I was going to go test ride this bike. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but it decided it wanted to start raining, and there's some thunder going on, and see some gray skies behind me. Guess we got a storm rolling in, so we'll test ride this thing tomorrow. It's a couple days later, and there's the bike. We're gonna jump on it. I moved it up here to the driveway and go for a test ride. It's St. Patrick's Day today, but this is what I'm doing instead of I don't know, drinking overpriced green beer and trying not to get arrested. So let's fire this thing up and go down the road and see how we did. I also, I kind of apologize in advance because I know the audio quality on this probably isn't going to be that great. I've never had good luck getting good audio quality on the helmet camera, but we'll see what we can do. Try not to run into my neighbor's kid on his four-wheeler. He looks like he's having fun though. Oh, that's not a good sign. that's the end of the test ride. Okay, let's try this again. I just ran through the clutch adjustment one more time here in the front yard. I don't have any notes in my shop manual about this bike wanting anything other than what the factory shop manual calls for. But I have worked on other bikes in the past where that kind of 1/8 to 1/4 of a turn isn't quite where they want to be. Some of them want to be a little bit more in or a little bit more out, just depending on how worn the clutch lever and the clutch plates are. So let's try this again. Let's see what we got. So that wasn't quite full throttle there. I was maybe 60 or 70%, but we're gonna give it some beans here. That was better already. But I'm gonna turn around up here at the church. And on the way back, we'll open her up and see if it holds. Seems like it's doing pretty good though. Thank you. We'll open it one more time here on the way back to the house. Seemed pretty darn good to me. It's like just that very first time I went wide open, it didn't want to cooperate. Might go change helmets and go ride some more. It's too nice of a day to be inside. So we're back home, and I'm smiling because I've been riding this bike for, I don't know, I think I put about 60 miles on it today, and I went and rode it. And I don't know how good the audio came in. One of those last couple of clips with like the helmet camera, I really struggle with getting good audio quality on that GoPro, even with the external mic. Anyways, just recap here. I rode it the first time. The clutch was slipping just as bad, if not worse than it already was. Came back home, ran through the entire clutch adjustment again, and just kind of tweaked where I was at with the adjuster screw. And it seemed like it was a whole lot better. So I took it up the road, just kind of, going easy on it, but giving it enough throttle to see if it would slip or not, and it wouldn't. turned around and come back home and gave it hell, and it seemed like it slipped a little, but then y'all saw in that clip where I turned down the road to come back home past the cow fields where we live, and I really leaned on it and it held it. So I parked the bike and took the full face helmet off and went and got my open face helmet and my sunglasses. I just went riding. I don't want to say I beat on the bike, but you know, I wanted to make sure this clutch isn't slipping, and it is not. It's holding good. It's not pulling through the clutch. If you have it in gear at a stop or whatever, you can hold the clutch in gear, and it's not trying to chug and pull you along. And it shifts really good too. So I'm really happy that this, you know, I'm glad that I'm not having to put a clutch in this bike. I will say, back to the whole read the shop manual. The factory service manual on this says a clutch adjustment is something you should do every 2,500 miles. So basically every time you service this bike, you need to be changing the engine oil filter, the primary oil, and doing a clutch adjustment, plus some other things too. And I'll finish this up just by saying everything I told you, the step-by-step procedural of what you should do to adjust a late model Ironhead clutch, is correct. It's straight out of the book. But as these bikes get older and things get changed around and stuff kind of wears and they kind of develop their own individual unique personalities, you might find that some stuff's not exactly to the book. For example, that 8 1/4 on my bike wasn't right. And I mentioned this earlier in the video. Of course, the rooster's got to chime in. He's always got to be in every video. Anyways, I mentioned this earlier in the video about how I didn't make any notes about, you know, do I need to be somewhere more or less than the 1/8 to the 1/4? And now I know exactly where I need to be, at least right now. So I'm going to write that down, notate it, record it, and then in another 2,500 miles when I service this bike again and do another clutch adjustment, I'll put it back to where I'm at right now and go ride it and see, like, is that good, or am I starting to wear these clutches out in this clutch pad? And that's something that if you own one of these old bikes, Ironhead, Shovelhead, Panhead, and you're the caretaker of it, you should be doing this. Like, keep track of all the little nuances and all the little things that your specific motorcycle needs. But I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna stop talking. I'm happy. It's a beautiful day. The birds are chirping. The sun's shining. The rooster's crowing. The bike's shifting and running. I mean, what more do you want? Yeah. Sweet. Thanks for watching. That's the rooster's way of saying we'll see you on the next one. Bye.